99% people in this world are excellent people, good people. And out of them, I think at least 30 to 40% people are seeking God. Not all. Some are seeking money, some are seeking power, and some are seeking some personal indulgences. But there are definitely true seekers on this earth, and these 30% people are, or 40% people are the most important people from the God's point of view. You might be anything. You might be having any organization. You might be having any position in life. You might be any great personality. Makes no difference to God. What is important is that are you seeking? If you knock, the door will be open, has been promised. But if you think you have already achieved it and that you are there, how can it be worked out? So one has to be humble about it and allow the Kundalini to rise in its own glory, giving you your real beauty. Now the thing we have to know that as the Kundalini ascends, we also start getting powers. The first power is that of innocence. Innocence has a power above all other powers. It's the most powerful thing. But in the human beings, it takes time for innocence to be awakened in the full way. It takes time. As a child, they have the innocence. And in childhood, if they get their awakening, that's the best thing that can happen to human beings, that in childhood only they get the realization. But as soon as you start growing, your attention starts going either to the left or to the right. You start indulging into all kinds of things as far as your sex is concerned, as far as your seeking is concerned, and you then jump on to some sort of a wrong thing which you should not have done. And that's how the first center gets lost. An innocent person is looked after by angels. Such a person has no fear of anything. He is not bothered. He is never violent. He is never hasty. He is never in a temper. He is so peaceful, and he knows that what he is doing is the right thing. Such a person stands by righteousness. Like you can see in the life of Christ, is a very good example. That very Mary Magdalene was stoned by people. He stood up and he said, among you who has done no sin can throw the stone at her. Actually, Christ had nothing to do with a prostitute. He had no relationship of any kind with her. She is a prostitute and he is the Son of God. But at that time he did feel that she has a right to exist, because those who are stoning her are the people who have committed also sins. Only she is a person who is exposed, and he stood by her. And that is what happens to a person who is innocent. He is fearless. He has no fear of anything, because he knows that he stands on truth and on innocence. Such a person also has a capacity to bear up lots of nonsense, to laugh at lots of tortures and troubles people bestow upon him. And the greatest thing of innocence is that it gives you discretion. Such a person is immensely discreet. He is so wise. He may be a little child, he may be a grown-up person, he may be a villager, he might be educated, he might be uneducated, but he is so wise that he sees what is right and what is righteous. And this is the greatest quality of an innocent person, that he is very discreet about everything. His discretion is just like a straightforward hit. He doesn't have to think, he doesn't have to bother. Whatever he decides is absolute discreet, and he doesn't have to have choices. He doesn't go on choosing people. He doesn't go on choosing things. He said, this is the thing, finished. So such a person becomes absolutely dynamic, because he doesn't waste any energy. He doesn't waste his brains. He doesn't waste his arguments with anyone. If he thinks the person is worth arguing, he'll argue, otherwise he'll say, all right, you are clever, go ahead. This is the understanding of a person who is completely discreet. Like there was a very big joke about it, that there was a man who was going up the road, up the stairs, and another one was coming downstairs. The one who was going up the road was a wise man, and the one who was coming down was not a wise man. So he tried to be aggressive, and he told him that I will not move for you because I don't move for fools. So the other one moved on one side and he said, I do. Meaning I move out for fools. See, but he said, I do, and he moved out. So he has such a discretion how far to go and how far not to go. Now I will give an example how in nature you can find this very easily. See, the root has a little root cap. It's a very, very small, minute thing. You have to see through the microscope. Now this root cap is a wise thing. It goes in the soil. It sees there are some stones, so it goes round the stones. Then it finds there are boulders, it goes round the boulders. It has to find its way, so it's not bothered. You are a boulder? All right, doesn't matter. I'm not going to fight with you. It passes through that, it goes directly to that place where it has to arrive. And when he reaches that place, when he arrives that place, what happens? He finds that he has tied up these boulders around himself to support the whole tree. This is the wisdom of a little bit, small little cell, which is the root end. So you can imagine how much there is wisdom in a little cell like that. And God has given us such a good brain, and if we do not have discretion, we are like people who are blind, who walk without knowing where they have to go. Then the second chakra, when it is awakened within you, you have a special quality of creativity. Because when the second chakra is awakened, you are actually thoughtless. There's no thought in your mind. So you start looking at anything without thinking. You start looking at anything that is created without any ripple of thought in your mind. Like all that is created around the lake of your mind is completely reflected in that rippleless lake. And you see the complete reflection of that creation as well as the joy that is bubbling in that creation. So your creativity becomes tremendous. You start seeing things but not thinking about it. Now see, if you come to this hall and you start seeing something, you like it, then you start thinking, oh God, this is a beautiful thing, but how much it must have cost, and now how old it is it going to last or not, is it insured or not, all sorts of funny ideas will come to you, and you will never enjoy what it is. But supposing you have no thought about it, you just watch it, you just see it. What happens? The creation that of the artist who has created this beautiful thing, the joy of that creation that the artist had, who might be dead now, you start enjoying that joy. The whole thing can be filled in you with that bubbling joy that he wanted to put there with his own heart. And that's what happens because there is no thought. So the creativity becomes tremendous. But it's not only that the creativity is tremendous, but your techniques improve. For example, a musician can become a tremendous musician. People who have never done any work can become extremely powerful. We have somebody here from India. The other day he was telling people, because he gave one of the lectures, that I had never seen what is wood is. I did not know what was teak, what was other wood and all that. And he had no job when he came to me. And he said, now after realization, what job should I take? I said, you take to interior decoration. And he got a shock. He said, I don't know what wood is. How am I to take interior decoration? I said, you can start feeling the vibrations. You just do it on the basis of vibrations. And he did it, and he made a big money out of it. Because as I told you the other day, whatever is absolutely beautiful you think has nothing in it but has vibrations. It has a coefficient which gives you vibrations. Like Mona Lisa now. We like her Mona Lisa. According to modern standards, she cannot be a beauty because she was a very plump lady, an elderly lady. But today also if you go there, you cannot see her painting. It's so crowded. Everybody is anxious to see Mona Lisa. And if you go and feel the vibrations from distance, you will get vibrations from. Because the coefficients of her body, face and everything is made so well that you get the vibrations. Now people are very anxious to create new ideas, new type of things and this, but these things do not sell. And even if they sell temporarily, they have no eternal values. So the people with this chakra, enlightened, start creating things of very eternal values, of universal values. Anywhere you take such a thing, you take it to India, you take it to China, you take it to Japan, or you take it to America, anywhere, any human being who sees that, sees the beauty of the spirit, because it gives you joy in your spirit. So the pure art is produced through you. That's the purity, or I would say the holy art is produced through you. When you start producing that holy art, then you should believe that you have got an enlightenment on that chakra. Now, to tell you that you shouldn't think too much, you shouldn't bother too much, you should not be wobbly, you should take things easy, be light-hearted is not possible in the modern times, because we are slave of the watch. But what happens? That when you get realization, your thinking process becomes regulated. You only think when you have to think. You just go on thinking like horns coming out. You don't think like that. You only think when you have to think. And whatever you think comes from you, inspiration as such. Now for time, you see, my watch is always out of order. I deliberately keep it out of order, because the time is in your hand. Supposing these people will hurry me up too much. Mother, we have to go now, we will miss the plane, this thing, that thing. I said, all right. If you say, I'll go. I go to the airport and there they find the plane is 3 hours late. Then they said, Mother, why didn't you tell us? I said, I was telling you, no need to hurry up. Why didn't you telephone and find out? If you had telephoned, we would not have been there earlier. So, you see, you start seeing that this time is best for this time is best for that. You don't have to become a slave of the watch. Like this, people become such slaves that they arrive at a point where there can be some sort of a wrong thing happening, or maybe that you reach the place and you have to wait for 4 hours. You have to do all kinds of arrangements to make yourself comfortable. Or sometimes it so happens that you quarrel with your wife, quarrel with your husband, quarrel with your children. Oh, we are getting late, we have to be on the time. All this madness comes to people because they have not got their realization. Once you get realization, you station down. You are very much at ease with yourself. You don't hurry others and you don't trouble others. Like small things, how much we trouble by our worries. You see, human beings will go on saying, I am worried. But what's the use of worrying? Now if I tell you don't worry, you cannot stop it. But once the hole is made here, which we call the Brahmarandra is open, then there's a hole out of which the worry comes out. And then you just cannot worry. Even if you want to worry, you won't worry. Because somehow or other, you go beyond that nonsense of worry.